snack. I think, you know, I do pretty well on the meals, but what if you want a snack, what would be a good choice?
Okay, I'm gonna write some of these on the board so I remember to cover us.
You know, what keeps you out of the potato chip bag?
Right,
Don't buy them.
right.
Yeah,
I have to do.
Don't put on that aisle.
My problem is eating healthy on a budget.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna cover that, so, budget, okay. Alright, what else?
Oh, breakfast.
Okay, how to do a healthy practice. That can be a tricky one, some great options.
That's quick. No,
Yes.
like a,
Quick and easy,
yeah.
and inexpensive. All right. Well, we'll jump in, and we'll start with introducing ourselves here quickly. And Ben, I'm gonna have you share just kind of your health journey and kind of why nutrition is something we enjoy sharing about with other people. And so I'm gonna have Ben introduce himself
Yeah.
first.
So, a little story of how I got started with healthy eating and that kind of thing is started like 10 years ago. I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. And so I had been passed around to 7 or 8 specialists and finally decided that I needed lots of drugs to overcome this arthritis. So at one point it was over $3,000 a month for these drugs, and some of them were like chemo drugs, and just was not feeling better. And it was beginning to be difficult to tell the difference between my body, like the disease itself, and the side effects from all the medications I was taking. And so just really struggling with that whole thing. And seeing no progress, the doctor really gave me no hope. He's like, it's rheumatoid arthritis, you're gonna be on this the rest of your life. Just get used to it. So from there, we were just really discouraged. And we decided to pursue one doctor that she had connections with through some friends that was more holistic and natural. And so I was like, well, not really my philosophy of health, but we're gonna try it out. Like last time, I've been to 7 specialists already. So, and this is 2 years down the road. So we went to him, and I was really surprised. He's like, well, here's my book on a 30-day detox nutrition plan. And we need to wean you off of a lot of these other things, and we're gonna go from there. He's like, you can't stop these things right away, but we're gonna do what we can. And so I just was like, okay, I committed to this at least for a month, so I'm gonna try. So it started off with kind of a detox diet. I was very limited on what I could eat, mainly vegetables, and so that lasted for maybe a couple of weeks, and then I could add lentils and other fish and different things like that. And on day nine, I woke up, and it was just like night and day difference. Like I hadn't felt like that for years.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway, just these things over time had built up in my body, and my immune system reacted to all that, and all these modern medicines couldn't do anything about it. But like purifying my body, getting all the junk out, getting the good stuff in, and then after the 30 days, I was starting to wean off my medications, and I was feeling better from the lack of side effects. And then I switched to a different rheumatologist, and all of my numbers for rheumatology came down much lower. She's like, I don't see arthritis here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, so you don't have arthritis today, Ben?
Right.
Yeah, and he's not on any medications. So, yeah, really
Yeah.
found great healing.
So through a very difficult time, we learned like how to cook better, how to use spices that were good for us and all that good stuff. So, you know, as budget allows and that kind of thing, sure, we encourage you to incorporate some organic and natural things like that. But stepping out into it, looking at it from a budget standpoint, maybe not jump in totally or you're gonna wreck your budget right away.
Right.
So we're gonna give some good advice on how to keep things budget friendly, but there's still a lot of inexpensive foods that are gonna help bring healing and reduce inflammation in your body. And that's essentially, what we're gonna talk about is just basic foods that are recommended by doctors or holistic practitioners like his, recommend an anti-inflammatory diet. So eating foods that don't cause inflammation in the body, because we know that most diseases are caused from inflammation in the body, but that's generally the root. And so that's where a lot of the foods that we're gonna talk about are gonna be foods that don't create inflammation in your body.
So that's kind of my story.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
So we don't need to learn anything more, we're all inspired. Eat more vegetables, right? So he grew up, his father is a traditional physician, traditional medicine, and I grew up, my mother was a nurse, but she was also a hippie nutritionist, okay? So she was juicing before juicers were cool, and we were, my public school, like my lunch box to school, because I couldn't eat school lunch, that wasn't healthy, so it would be an almond butter rice cake sandwich with veggies, and I would beg kids to trade their lunch. I still remember there was one girl, Mary, I still remember her name because she would always have pity on me. If no one else would trade with me, she's like, here, just take my Twinkie. I'm like, do you want my apple? She's like, no, it's okay. So I still remember her. But I grew up under a very different philosophy, and my mom did nutritional supplements and just was very conscious of the food that we ate. And so I grew up with a little bit more of an education from that standpoint, and then have been in business with teaching people about health and wellness and healthy products for the last almost 14 years, and taking people through clean eating programs or helping them switch up products and that kind of thing. And so it ended up something that I found really annoying as a child, having to eat these, healthy foods, ended up being something that's helped our family, but also been a business for me too. So that's kind of in part what has led us here today. So we're glad to share with you guys. So I know when it comes to any kind of changes or improvements, it's always best to start with why. Why put in the effort to change in this certain area? And so I guess, what are some of the whys that you think of? Like, you heard Ben's story, and it was like, well, he'd reached kind of the end of his rope with other alternatives. It was like, he just wanted to be able to survive, really, and thrive. So what are maybe some of the whys that have brought you here today of wanting to improve your nutrition? Yeah.
One similar to yours, I have Bart's esophagus, so there's a lot of things I have to stay away from, and I've noticed the inflammation in my body. So I want to not only make myself healthy, but I'm raising 2 granddaughters, and I just want them not to go through what I'm going through, or any kind of illness. So that's why I'm here for my family and myself.
That's awesome. That's beautiful. Anybody else?
I want to be proactive with my health. I'm fairly healthy, but I want to stay that way, and I want to ward off any potential diseases and all of those things that may be looming. I want to be proactive and take charge of my life and my health.
Because nobody likes being sick, right? It just really takes you out of the game, or just when we're not feeling well. So whether we're battling disease, or we're just fatigued and sluggish all the time, that's just not fun living. So I'm glad you're all here, because I'm a believer in the fact that what we eat can make a big difference, not just on preventing disease, but on how we feel and how we look, and really help us to thrive. So let's just take a look at really what our bodies were designed to be fueled by, because that's really what nutrition is, right? Our bodies need nutrients to survive. So we're going to talk about where that comes from. And so sometimes I think it's fun to look at an analogy, because then it kind of creates a simplicity. We get to look at it from a different perspective. So let's just take a car as an example. So when the car manufacturer made a car, the car, we know that the purpose of the car is to get people from point A to point B. But it needs some things in it to help it do its job, right? So what are the things a car needs to get us from point A to point B? Fuel, that's right.
An engine.
Fuel, oil, and engine. So good, fuel and oil were the ones I was looking for. We're keeping it real simple. All right, so they need fuel and oil. Otherwise, they're just a piece of metal sitting in our garage, right? Okay, so what about our bodies? How did God design our bodies to be fuel? What are the two main things? Nutrient-dense food. How's that? Okay, nutrient-dense food. And what's one other one? Other than food, what do we need? What's our body predominantly made of?
Water.
That's right. Nutrient-dense food and water. Okay. So on your resource sheets, if you want to put, I have a resource sheet. That's more resources that for your reference later, but if you want to take notes, flip that over and you can take some notes, the things that stand out to you. Okay, so let's first just talk about water, since we know our body is made up predominantly of water, and just do kind of a little evaluation, because I think we all, maybe this, I know this is maybe rusty since it's been a while since we've taken health class, but how much water a day do they say that our bodies really need, like minimal?
Half of your body weight. I just heard the other day.
Okay, half of your body weight, 8 glasses, 8 ounces, 8
I just thought
glasses,
that-
which would be 64 fluid ounces. So we know that that's kind of a standard minimum, but then yes, if you have, you know, a larger body weight, or you're working out, or you're out in the heat in the summer and you're sweating more, you know, you need to increase that. So there's different trackers. In fact, so on some of the resources, I put some different apps and things that are good trackers. Or if you have a Fitbit, it tracks your water intake. But that's a really basic, simple, free thing that we can do to improve our health, right? Is one of the things we at least try to do as a family is like a water contest. So if you're helping kids, you know, try to increase their fluids, and you're trying to increase yours, make it a competition. Sometimes have drink, you know, like who can drink their glass of water the fastest, or, you know, go ahead and fill up a half gallon, which would be 64 fluid ounces, right? He's my math guy, okay. And see, you know, go ahead and fill everybody's up, and then see who gets through it the fastest, or have a competition with a reward that at the end of the week, if you've done that. Now, the biggest thing that I've seen, and that's proven through science in one of the articles that I attached there about water, is that it really helps with energy. If you find yourself sluggish a lot, one of the best things, easiest, freest thing you can do is increase your water intake, and it increases your energy. And as my children will tell you, whenever they're like, I'm tired, I'm like, go drink a glass of water, okay? Because that actually is one of the fastest, easiest, cheapest ways to increase your energy right away. And so it's even best for your digestive system to start your morning by drinking 8 to 16 fluid ounces of water first thing right when you wake up. That is better for you than your cup of coffee, and it will give you more energy. Try it. Try it. Try it. Right. All right, the other things that it can help to do, well, let's relate water to like oil in a car. Okay, it helps keep things moving. You can, you know, make that analogy with lots of things, but there is studies that show how it's preventative for a lot of your colorectal cancers and kidney disease, those kinds of things. So, so just a little check on water. Main thing we're all here for, food. What can we enjoy? Because good eating, like healthy eating, really, I think sometimes we look at it as like, oh, like a drag, like, but really, guys, it's a privilege and it's an opportunity. And I think we just sometimes have to shift our mindset that we have the ability here in the U.S. to be able to make good food choices. We have food readily available for us, and we have that opportunity to give our bodies things that are going to make it feel its best. So sometimes we just have to remind ourselves of that when we're like, oh, but I don't want to, you know. And our taste buds can change, and so that's kind of the hope with that too. I forgot to look up exactly how many days, maybe some of you know if you're into trivia, your taste buds change every certain number of days. So if maybe you've never loved Brussels sprouts, if it's been a year, give them another try, because you may end up liking it. And I found that to be true in my life too, trying things at different times. Okay, so what to eliminate? I'm sure you guys know some of this, so why don't you pop them out? What do you know you're supposed to avoid?
Sugar.
Yes.
thought
That's right.
sodas, even if they're
Yes.
diet.
Right, absolutely. And a lot of the material I read and the articles I gave you access to, sugary drinks are about one of the worst things you can put into your body. That sugar gets into your bloodstream faster than when you're eating a cookie, okay? And so it spikes your insulin, and then that creates all sorts of metabolic issues and energy issues too. Okay, then, let's just hang on sugar here for a second. We have then empty carbs, which to help you kind of narrow what's an empty carb, you can think of the great white starches as a way to kind of remember. So great white starches. So some of those are going to be white flours, white potato, white rice. Pretty much any starch that looks white is probably on the great white starches list and to be avoided. And we're going to talk about different grains and carbs that are healthier for you and just as cheap, okay? But they break down in your body as a sugar almost immediately. They have no nutrients value or very little. So they're increasing your blood sugar without giving you any benefit, okay? So when we're talking about food, we're focusing on how can we consume nutrient-dense foods instead of empty foods. So other empty foods are going to be a lot of processed foods. If it's in a box or a can, there's a good chance that it's not going to be as great of an option for you. It's going to contain higher sodium levels. It's going to contain fewer nutrients because of the processing process. Okay, the packaging process that ends up taking out a lot of the nutrient value of the food. Also, fast food. We know it's not best, and why is that?
A lot of grease, oil, all the processed stuff that goes into it, like preservatives to keep it fit
Yes.
till we buy it.
Right, there's so many hydrogenated fats from the fryer, since most of those foods are fried, so it's the worst kind of fat. We're going to talk about the fats that you can consume and enjoy, that you don't have to worry about. The sodium, and then you mentioned too, the flavoring and the additives and the different processed, like the different synthetic things that they actually add to food. Again, his dad being a physician sometimes funnels us articles that he comes across, and one was on kind of the food additive, am I using the right word? Like the things that they actually inject food with, like Doritos, they came up with a special flavoring that is proven to cause people to be addicted to it and want to consume more of it. And it's a synthetic flavor that they created to make us want to consume more of it. And that's put in most processed, packaged, bagged, fast food places because they want you to come and consume more. So they figured out, what do our bodies love, and let's give the taste buds more of that. But so if you find yourself craving certain things, especially at fast food places or certain junk food items, my guess is it contains some of those things. So I think we covered a lot of the what not to. So let's focus on the things that we can have. All right. Let's just kind of review what a balanced plate is, because I'm sure that's changed over the course of from the time we had health class, because they're always coming with a different, was it a food pyramid or all the things. Okay, so this information that I'm taking from is Harvard Medical Nutrition, and they're on your sheet that I gave you. There's the picture of the balanced plate. We're going to review that. And then the article there, Nutrition 101, Good Eating for Good Health. I found that to be a super concise, like 2-page article that's a lot of the material I'm going over with you that I would highlight and you can use as a great reminder. I'd encourage you to look that up later. Because I found this to be the most concise and where I would say most practitioners agree over these things. So this is information you can trust. So what do you first notice about this balanced plate?
No dairy.
Yep, things have changed there. All right, so this article you're gonna see is not anti-dairy, okay? But you're gonna notice it's not on here because it's not one of the best good fats for you. Okay, what else do you notice about this plate? What is it predominantly?
Veggies.
Vegetables. Do you remember that from?
No.
Ah.
Grains, wasn't it?
I know, it used to, or proteins, or it's, so here's the scoop on vegetables, guys. Harvard says at least 5 servings a day. That's at least. So when I even read that, and I love vegetables, I was like, ew, I don't know if I'm quite up to that, okay? Now, what is a serving? Just to put it in perspective, because maybe you consume, a couple servings per meal. So 1 cup of raw leafy, half a cup of cooked, or half a cup of vegetable juice. So that would be considered 1 serving, just to kind of put it in perspective. And their first tip with Nutrition 101, Healthy Diet, eat more vegetable products and fewer animal products. I know that's a big change, and we live in the Midwest where the heart of, we grew up on meat and potatoes, at least this area did, and probably most of the US. And you're gonna see that actually, they're finding, that they only recommend actually 2 servings of red meat per week, guys. So they really are wanting, they're saying, no, you need your protein sources to come from fish, poultry, beans, other types of protein sources. Okay, so bouncing back to vegetables, half of your plate. We're gonna give you, like when we go into the kitchen and we're gonna taste some things, and we've got some recipes we've included in here. Some of the apps I gave you have been so helpful for me as I'm trying to just be creative, because don't you feel like that's part of the problem, is just coming up with, what do I do with this other than pour dressing on it, So the apps have been really helpful for me in just thinking creatively on what to do with vegetables, and Ben's gonna help us do that too. Okay, so then the protein sources, 1/4 of your plate. So that's the next section there. We just talked about fish, beans, poultry, so that's your chickens, turkey.
That's under
Pork
proteins?
isn't in here anywhere. Oh, and eggs, but they, and nuts. Nuts are a great protein source. Let's jump to good fats. What are good healthy fats? Healthy fats are gonna come predominantly from olive oil, coconut oil, avocado oil, ghee, which is like it's like butter, but it has the casein and lactose taken out of it. Okay, so some of the things
They
that
call clarified butter?
Yes, clarified butter.
Okay.
Cacao butter, grapeseed oil. I think you're gonna find that when you switch to eating like this, that you're not craving carbs nearly as much and craving sugars. Your energy level is gonna be a lot more stable because your blood sugar isn't being bounced around by especially unhealthy carbs. So what are some healthy carb options? We've got like healthy whole grains. Okay, so whenever you're gonna consume a grain, we talk about whole grain. That means that it still has the nutrients in it. It hasn't been processed and stripped of its nutrients. So that could be maybe some grains you haven't tried. So I'm gonna give you some cheap, good ones, but brown rice instead of white rice, okay? Just as cheap, a hair more expensive, but still inexpensive. Lentils actually have a protein. I sometimes think of them as carbs, but they're really high in protein. We're gonna have some of those in the kitchen. Quinoa. Quinoa is a whole grain that is kind of like a rice consistency, but it's more cylinder.
And as far as reading nutrition labels, is it still set the same with the first thing that's mentioned is what the product is mostly made of?
Yes, that's
Okay,
right.
still the same?
Yeah, that's still the same. We need to get over to the kitchen. Let's see, actually, we're gonna talk about price point over there, because Ben figured up the price of each meal that he made, like so that we can get into more budget-friendly things. And a huge obstacle I know is usually, for me, it was I didn't know how to cook. My mom always tried to teach me, but I was not too motivated in the beginning. And so learning how to cook, what to cook, so he's gonna touch on that. And then sometimes just, we don't like the taste of healthy things. We prefer the taste of what we like, right? Salt and sugar. And so healthy can taste great, and that's what we want you to see from the things that we taste and make today. So one food for thought that I wanted to leave you with that's really been cutting edge clinical science that's been coming out is the interconnectedness between our gut health and our mental health. There's also interconnectedness between our gut health and skin health. But that's because we have the same microbiome in our gut and our skin and our brain. And they're seeing that it really not only matters what we're eating for our weight and prevention of common, of the heart disease and some of the things that we already know about, but it actually it can have effect on our mental health as well. In fact, Harvard started a new field in medical science of nutritional psychiatry, where it's psychiatrists who predominantly treat, and not solely, but they treat nutrition and teach nutrition in addition to medication where needed. And so there's a lot of evidence that shows, especially when it comes to anxiety and mild depression, that what you eat makes an impact on that. And so that's where eating nutrient-dense foods, and a lot of the things that we talked about, or that you'll be able to look up in the articles, that's another reason why it matters. So sometimes when we're feeling, that's our, the article is actually called Gut Feelings. So sometimes think about if that interconnectedness, maybe just keep that in mind, because that can be a great motivator for us in making better food choices as well. So that's transition to the kitchen, the fun part, to eating, and bring your folder and pen with you, because you'll probably want to jot some notes in there too.
It's kind of a dream of mine to have a cooking show, so thanks for being a part of it. Okay, so I have some recipes in there for you, if you want to pull those out. I'm not going to follow those exactly today, but if you want to pull out these infograms here as well, let's take a look at these. So I'm heating up some oil on the stove.
Some avocado oil.
Yeah.
This is a safe oil to put down, keep hot, or on high heat.
Okay, so the recipe is, let me find these. All right, so today, spinach and tomato dal, Thai curry with rice, and then roasted vegetables. I'm not gonna do the roasted vegetables right now. If you want to, I'll probably, after all of this, I'll have some left over. But what I did is just chop these up. The longer they take to cook, the smaller I make them. So carrots I cut up real skinny, real thin, and then Brussels sprouts, broccoli. And these are all in a bag, so I can just open this up and I can drizzle in avocado or canola oil and any spices I want, salt, garlic. What do you like to add to yours?
I use garlic powder.
Yep.
Sometimes I use everything, that sesame that Trader Joe puts
that
out.
one big one?
Okay.
Yeah, that one.
Okay, yep, fantastic. Spice blends are great. Find one you enjoy and go for it. So, and then you have the recipe, so you can throw any veggies in the oven and roast them, and they're just fantastic. They are great. Let's talk about the different kinds of oils real quick. So here we go. I brought what we have at our house right now. Let me think about this. Put these in order here. Okay. So from here, I have the ones I have in order from highest smoke point to lowest smoke point. So if you're going to be sauteing on the oven, avocado oil is fantastic. And these are some of the healthier oils. So yeah, there's tons of different oils you can pick from. But these are a few of the healthy ones that we recommend that we cook with at home. Canola oil. So this is the more expensive option. This is $10, I think.
At Aldi?
At Aldi, 8 to 10. Micah over here, he did all of the research on how much these things cost and broke it down for recipes and everything. So we'll get into that. But we really enjoy the avocado oil for a lot of things. Cheaper option, of course, is canola oil. Still a good oil, but this is like $2. Big difference in price. Smoke point's about the same in these, so you can use that for higher cooking, like 450 degrees before it starts to smoke and turn rancid. Coconut oil is great. Ghee, you can actually, this says both ghee and clarified butter. Like an official Indian ghee is treated for a higher smoke point, so this could move way up here if it's the right kind of ghee. This is more like clarified butter, where it's a very low smoke point, more like butter is.
Yeah, so that's one you can even use as a butter, and put on your
Right.
breads. It's a
Is it
healthier
real
fat.
butter, like fat from a cow?
It
Right.
is.
Oh, okay.
It's
Right.
just stripped of its casein and
You-
its lactose.
You can make it at home. You can heat up butter, let the milk fats rise to the surface and scrape them off, and the liquid oil left is the clarified butter.
Okay.
And here we have olive oil. There's so many different types of olive oil. This is extra virgin olive oil. Don't cook with that on the stove. It's a very low smoke point. So you're gonna create a lot of mess. It's gonna go rancid really quick with heat. However, they have light or regular olive oil, which that would come all the way up here, there's a huge difference. So I could have olive oil on both spectrums. So if you're cooking on the stove, make sure you get the right one.
So how do you know, Ben?
Yeah, how do you know the olive
Extra
oils?
virgin olive oil is you eat fresh. It has a great fresh
Like a
flavor.
dressing,
If you
like a
drizzle it
using-
on a
yeah.
salad or don't cook with it, really. I don't
Oh,
recommend
okay.
it. You can, but
More dressings.
more like dressing or fresh oil, not cooked.
Awesome.
And then let me get some aromatics in here. Why don't you go ahead and look at your infograph on aromatics. Fill that out.
And I want to talk about budget too for a second for the things that he's trying. You know, you could probably even afford organic if you're making, you know, when we get rid of the junk foods, we think that they're cheap, but really processed food's expensive compared to making things fresh. And I think you'll see that from the price point that we give you. So then just with a little bit of legwork and having fun cooking in the kitchen, which a lot of kids like to do, or it's a great thing to do, to interact with your partner or whatever, that you can save a lot of money just doing some kitchen work together. This is the way we start virtually any meal, regardless of what ethnicity or like other spices or styles we're gonna throw in, whether we're making a soup or whether we're making a stir fry. This is a great way to start off. And doesn't it smell so good?
All right, so take a look at that infograph with the aromatics. With the stuff I have in the pot, am I making Cajun, Chinese, French, Thai, Middle Eastern, Italian, Latin, Indian?
All of it.
You can't tell at this point, right? I started all the same. I could even add the carrots into there at this point, and you're still not sure which region of the world I'm making. And even sometimes at home, I will start my meal like this, and then not knowing what I'm gonna make, and then say, hey kids, what region of the world do you want tonight? And I'm already cooking, stuff's already making, and I might have rice on the stove or something like that. But we're already making stuff. So from here, that's the beautiful thing. It makes it so easy, like no matter where in the world you wanna go, they start about the same. These are pretty hot stoves here. Okay. You can take a look at this. You can take these home, of course, and study these if you'd like. We did not create these, and there's a lot more online. Cooksmarts.com. So these are great. We did a little cooking class with the kids, and we printed these off and laminated them so they have these in the kitchen, so they can reference these if they're doing the cooking that night.
Oh, they cook. That's cool.
Yep. Actually, Bella, my daughter, she started off with this yesterday. We had leftover rice. So what she decided to do was make an Indian dish. And she ended up making biryani, which is a rice Indian dish. And I helped her once with a little thing, but she did the rest of it herself. All right, so we're gonna do Thai actually here. So this is our basic aromatics. What this does is infuses the oil with any kind of flavoring you have in there. So it's infusing right now and roasting and making a beautiful beginning to our meal.
What kind of oil did you say you started with?
This was avocado.
Okay.
Yep. Cheaper option would be canola.
Does it give it a different flavor, the different oils?
When I'm adding this, not really, when you're
No.
adding this much spice and
It's just
flavor
for
to
health
it.
reasons then?
Right,
Okay.
right. Yep.
I think coconut oil, you might taste coconut, but
Mhm.
of the other options, and maybe ghee, but of the other ones don't
Yeah,
have
for
a
Thai
strong
food, I like
flavor.
coconut oil, but it has a lower smoke point, so you really have to watch your temperature more. So.
You don't like ghee, it's buttery taste.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was gonna
right,
try
right.
some sometime.
Yeah, a lot of Indian food they use ghee, so, and it's great. Okay, what do I wanna do next? The only thing I had to buy at the Oriental Grocery is the lime leaves, and we'll pass those around so you can smell them, but they're amazing. Thank you
Anything else?
very much. Yes. Thank you. Kefir or kefir lime leaves, and we have a bag for each of you actually to take home if you wanna try these.
Thanks for what you're doing. There you are, and you can keep it in your freezer until you're ready to use it.
And how you use these, you can throw it in at the beginning with your oil, and it's going to infuse that oil with the taste. These are kind of like bay leaves, so you're not going to eat the leaves unless you chop them up really fine. But you can smell it already. Yep. So that smell is coming out. Or if you're making a soup or something, throw this in with your soup and just let it go with the liquid. You don't have to fry it with the oil. So, but yeah, this is really what makes Thai food like stand out and taste amazing. So, really recommend that. Okay, so Micah marinated the chicken for us. I just cut this in thin slices. He marinated this in a little bit of soy sauce. So we just did that this morning.
Do you use real soy sauce, or do you use?
I have to eat gluten-free, so I have to make sure it's gluten-free soy sauce.
What's that?
Okay, and then coconut milk. Thai food loves their coconut milk, and I do too. There's lots of different kinds. You want to look at the fat content though. So this right here, you can see this is super thick, and it's got quite a bit of fat. 17 grams of fat per serving, for a half cup. The nice thing about that, you can heat it, you can boil it for a while even, and it's not going to separate. It's not going to form big chunks and curdle. So that's the great thing about this. However, if you want a lower fat version, I actually love the flavor of this in my Thai food. This is 5 grams of fat for 1 cup. So 2.5 grams comparatively. That's a big difference. But the thing is, you can't boil with this. Not enough fat, it's gonna curdle on you, which has happened, that's how I know. So cook everything before you add the coconut milk. Add that last and just warm it up gradually. We've got the chicken in. Any fresh vegetables, of course, these are gonna be added at the end. Coconut milk I'm gonna add after I have my chicken cooked. Any fresh item add at the end of your cooking, or it really degrades the flavor quickly. Could you get the ginger out of the freezer, first freezer?
Yeah.
Okay, so you use a real lime, you don't buy those little ones that you just squeeze the limes yourself?
Yeah, these just have a great flavor fresh, so it's just not quite the same. And then, as I've cooked more, I've gotten rid of a lot of kitchen tools. I think we have too many usually.
Yeah.
But a zester is one thing that I love. I can't get away from. So a good zester is fantastic. You can zest these and chop them up. Remember, add these late with your cilantro, or it's just not going to taste the same. It's going to degrade that flavor a lot.
You freeze your ginger too, huh?
Yeah, and then it keeps it as well, you know, and then that's a way to save and have better flavor, because fresh ginger is always more potent and tastier than powdered ginger. And then it keeps if you just keep it in the freezer.
Yeah, it'll keep forever.
You don't feel fiber.
Leave the skin on, even that's fine. I washed it before I froze it. Real good,
You
scrubbed
don't
it.
have to peel fiber.
Nope, I just scrubbed it real good before I froze it. And look at that, it's that easy. Tons of ginger instead of
Gosh,
pulling.
I always look at that ugly thing and don't know how to get it.
Yeah, so it's so easy.
Now you know.
I use it, throw it back in the freezer, and it's ready for next time. And, you know, ginger can take on multiple personalities depending on when you add it to your meal. So you can add it at the end, and it gives a real fresh flavor, or you can add it with your oil at the beginning, and it just infuses the oil with that. So, you can add that right here. I can smell that right away.
While you're doing that. So,
Sure.
at the local, one of our favorite local Thai restaurants, the cost of a meal there is about $9 or $10 a person for just, you know, one plated meal, Thai food dish. And this meal that we're cooking right here, enough to make a dish for at least 2 people. The total cost of it came to $10.84, so that makes it about $5 a person to cook it yourself, all fresh ingredients. And, you know, the cost for like a combo meal at fast food restaurants, have you noticed how expensive it is? Oh my God. So an average, you know, per person meal at fast food between $6 to $8 for a combo meal, right? Depending on where you go. And average cost to eat out at a Thai place even more expensive, you know, average of $10 a person at a Thai place. And so being able to still enjoy great flavors, good healthy food, but from home and more on a budget. Also for roasted vegetables, I know we didn't make those here, but total cost, you know, for all those vegetables, and we do tend to buy them organic too. Total cost for all the veggies, you know, $4. And that would be enough for about 2 people, you know, like what we did here. And so again, if you buy a pre-cut package, You know, you could end up spending more, but just cutting them up yourself saves you some money too. Do you want me to serve up the lentil soup for them to taste while you're talking?
Well, that is part of the Indian meal, so
Oh, okay.
I've gotta add this to the, if you wanna scoop out some lentils actually, into a large bowl.
Absolutely, or how about we pass around, you can snapshot it with your,
Oh,
with your
oh,
phones, you know, phone cameras, if you
Okay.
wanna look at.
So here we go. Here is our Thai dish. I've actually timed myself with this, and my records is about 10 minutes that I can make this meal. So a lot of things are already prepped, and it doesn't have to be difficult. I simplified things, I feel like, on the recipe, so it should be easy. Thai love their peanuts on top. You can serve that with peanuts sprinkled on top, cilantro sprinkled on top. It's a really beautiful dish. Also, Kroger sells this green Thai curry paste. So this I enjoy using. It's not very spicy, but it has a really good flavor to it. Spicy hot, but it's really good flavor. These are from the Oriental Grocery, the Asian market that I go to. And these are all different kinds of Thai Asian curries that have a lot more heat, but they're very good if you want to experiment with that. So we're gonna do Indian right now. My sister has a lot of Indian friends, and she made this for me. These are traditional Indian spices, how they cook at home. And it's just beautiful how it looks here. But my sister made me a little card that tells me what they all are.
That's pretty.
So for me, my health, turmeric is fantastic for everything.
Reducing inflammation.
There's also chili powder. This chili powder is really hot. I'm not going to use it today. There's garam masala, which you can find anywhere, any grocery, and it's a mixture of anywhere between 10 and 15 spices mixed together.
It's a mixture.
Everybody has their
I wondered
own.
what that was.
Yeah, yep. So I'll add a little bit of that today. Coriander powder. That's the green one here. I'm going to add some of that. Coriander is actually the seed of the cilantro. Very related flavors.
Yeah.
This time.
Switch.
Yeah, yes.
So how do we?
And then garam masala. So we're gonna add a little bit of that. And I always think color. What color is this missing? And you know, different colors have different nutrients. So I could add some more carrots to this to get some more orange. I could add some red to this. I'm gonna add that green, you know, that kind of thing. So, and after the fitness class, we'll be around if you guys have questions or whatever. So.
This also, yeah.
Oh, he's gonna eat it. We'll make another for Kate and Gary.
I like it too.
Yes, and so you don't actually eat the lime leaf, you just hold it.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. You bet. Right across the hall, and I'll bring over some food for you in a bit. All right.